Relax. You're listening to America at Night with McGraw-Millhaven.
Thursday night, we always check in with our traveling roving correspondent, Bill Cleveland, BillOnTheRoad.com. Bill Cleveland, good evening.
Well, good evening from Wisconsin. How's it going?
Yeah, last week you were in Sheboygan, and what, you couldn't leave? You're having so much fun in Wisconsin, you couldn't leave?
Well, when you travel full time, you just do whatever the heck you want. So just take my time. I did think of you yesterday, which doesn't happen often. I don't think of you a lot, but I did think of you yesterday. I had a book signing at the Appleton Public Library here in the Fox Cities part of Wisconsin, and so I'm doing my routine, and I look out in the audience, and there's a lady with a notebook. And I said, McGraw's going to want to know that I had spotted another. Now, here's the twist. The lady was with, I guess it was her husband, and the husband had a notebook too. So they both of them were writing down their notes during my presentation.
Did they
unaware, I guess, that I wrote a book that they could have just purchased, but that's okay.
Did they buy the book, or did they just take notes and then leave?
No, and you know what these people do sometimes, and truly, it doesn't matter to me anymore. I'm on my 8th book. Book number 1, this used to bother me, but they will leave and do everything they can not to make eye contact with you as they make a beeline out of the door. And so, but other than that, they're a very nice group of people, and the folks at the library were super, super nice. And so, yeah, but I thought you get a kick out of that. But yeah, I'm in the Fox City, so this is in East Central Wisconsin, so it's roughly halfway between Milwaukee and Green Bay, if you're familiar with this area. Really cool. There's 19 different communities that make up the Fox Cities, but Appleton was kind of my home base, and so some of the stuff that I checked out. So one thing I thought was pretty interesting, there's a place called the Hearthstone House Museum. And it's an old mansion, old home, built in 1882. But it has this distinction of being the first home in the world to be illuminated by a hydroelectric central station, which I don't know what any of that means. But it's lit up. But here's the takeaway. When I go to one of these places, I'm only smart enough to walk out with one fun fact. And here's the one that I walked out from this home. I'm taking the tour. Lady's really nice, walking me around, showing me things. And I spot this thing on the wall. And I point and I said, what is this? And she said, oh, that's the light switch. And I said, light switch? I said, it's a knob. What kind of a knob? And she said, yeah. And she turns the thing, and a light comes on. And I said, well, that's really interesting. She goes, yeah, haven't you've heard the expression, turn the light on? That's where it comes from. Apparently, back in the day, you would turn to have the light come on. Isn't that kind of interesting?
How about that? That's interesting.
Huh?
So is this new technology or old technology?
No. Yeah, this was old. In fact, she didn't have to get permission to touch it, but it was, it's kind of like an artifact. They don't really, not a lot of hands-on going on touching the knobs, but no, it's old school, mechanics there. But how about that? Turn the light on. That's right. Because you think about it, right? We don't turn lights on anymore. Physically turn them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. So that's a neat one. Now, there's another museum in town, like a local history museum in downtown Appleton, and they have a really great display all about Harry Houdini. So Houdini spent part of his childhood here in Appleton. And so when you go through, they have some really cool exhibits, like interactive stuff, and showing some of the different tricks and things that he would do. But they also have like some of his handcuffs, right, that he would use in some of his acts, and the locks and keys, and they got one of his pay stubs, and some photos and scrapbooks and personal documents and things like that. And so that's pretty cool. I learned something today that I didn't know about Houdini, and I think this is absolutely brilliant. And you may know this. I don't really know a lot about Houdini, but apparently, so he would be furious when other performers would steal his material.
Sure.
Right. So he'd be out doing his thing, and then he would figure out or find out that other people were doing his act. So the way to get these people back, he would just give away the trick. and basically render it useless. So people couldn't do it anymore. And I was like, that's kind of brilliant, right? Like, and I just thought that was pretty cool. I don't know.
That is brilliant in one sense, but you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. Then you can't do that trick anymore.
But I think the thing is, I think he realized that people were coming to see him, right? Not so much the tricks. At that point in his career, like people knew, like they were coming, they wanted to see Houdini. So
Right,
I don't think it really mattered that much. But I don't know. I just thought that was really pretty funny, actually, that they did that. So
it really. I mean, it's a stroke of genius, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is. So, but Appleton's super cool. Lots of great restaurants. Really, I'm a big fan of like walkable downtown. So there's College Avenue. You can walk up and down. And some of the other communities around this area. So here's the thing I did, and people can go to Bill on the Road Facebook and see a video of this place. It's called the Bergstrom Mahler Museum of Glass. I don't know that we've talked about any glass museums.
We have not. We have missed the glass conversation.
Well, I know you like building stuff, and you
Yeah.
like the mechanics of people who are craftsmen and so on. And so the reason I was drawn to this place, because I love quirky stuff. So I found out that they had the largest collection of publicly displayed glass paperweights. And I learned about this, and I said, gotta go. I gotta go see the paperweight. So there's almost 5,000 of them in their collection. And I told the lady, and people will see this when they watch the video, I said, people think I'm crazy when I'm, like I'm on the air or I'm doing an event or I'm writing on social media, and I'm like, you got to go see this collection. You got to go see this. But when you actually go and you see some of the stuff in person that I tell you, it's pretty impressive once you actually go and check some of these things out. So these glass paperweights, so it's hard to visualize this on the air, I suppose, but let's just say you're looking at one of them and there's a flower in the middle of this glass paperweight, right? So it's not a real flower. Like the flower is made out of glass, right? And so all of these different glass paperweights, they take quite a while to make. Like it's not like you're in art class in third grade and you're throwing something together in 20 minutes. These things take a lot of time, and a lot of them are worth a lot of money. Like they're pretty valuable. And so you walk through this and you see all of these the lady that owned the house where the museum is, she started collecting in, I don't know what year she started collecting, but it was essentially her collection, and then they've added to them over the years. But it's really cool to walk through this place. They just did a huge renovation. Got this great natural lighting that comes in off the lake, and just really lights up all this glass, not just the paperweights, but they have other glass stuff and glasses and things like that as well. And so, definitely check it out though. Like if you're coming through this area, and it is one of the best glass museums in the Midwest.
So I'm sure they've got a bunch of stained glass stuff and all that more traditional glass stuff, right? You would think?
So they have dedicated parts of the museum that are for the paperweights, which vary from. There's all types of them, but then they have more traditional art, but all done in glass, obviously.
Yeah.
And then there's the one. This is not in the Fox Cities, but I went to it last year. Now I can't think of the name of it. It's the big glass museum in New York. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed I can't think of it. But it reminded me of that. It's really cool to see the craftsmanship that these people can do. So, that's not this. Yeah.
Did she?
Back in the day, and please forgive me, folks, if I get this a little bit wrong, but I believe they were for well-to-do people back in the day, to have one of these things to put on your desk. So I think that's kind of how they started. But then the lady, like I said, who owned this, and it's a mansion where this thing is now housed. It's in a pretty nice neighborhood, actually. The homes are really huge all up and down the street. But this lady gave away her home essentially, and then her collection of these paperweights. And again, it's one of these things. I can't tell you how many times I've been to see these collections, and it always starts with somebody gets one of them, and then they have to add one more, and then if they can't stop, I'm telling you, I've been to I was telling the gal that I interviewed, I went to a place in Gettysburg. It was a guy who collected elephants, right? Not the animal, obviously, but like stuff, elephant stuff. And after 30 years, he had like 25,000 elephant things, and now he's got his own museum. So it always starts with one. So tell yourself that if you get one thing, eventually you're gonna have a house full of crap. Yeah.
How many paperweights were in this museum?
So I don't know the number that's on display, but in the collection they said 5,000.
Oh my God!
About 5,000. Like that's a lot. That's a lot of paperweight. So anyway,
and
so cool.
you said they were expensive. Like what do you call expensive? A couple $20, $30, or thousands of dollars?
So they're not all like super expensive, but some of them are rare because they come from, well-known artists and things like that. So yeah, I mean, some of these are thousands of dollars, some of these things. So yeah, some of them are pretty pricey, I guess, depending on how rare they are, or if the artist made just one or whatever. And they did actually a really cool thing. They had a contest, I guess, last year, and maybe they do this annually, I don't know, where if you win this particular contest, you get to display your art in one of their rooms. And so I went through this one room where it was this one artist, and it was all of his paperweights were there. And so anyway, I'm telling you, like most of these silly, quirky things that I talk about, they sound kind of ridiculous on the surface, but when you get there and you're looking at these things, you're like, oh, that actually is pretty cool. So watch the video, BillOnTheRoad.com. You can find my Facebook page, and you can see a video of the Glass Museum. But
that's
a lot of go ahead, sorry.
That's the old Jerry Seinfeld joke. What are these people doing with the paperweights? Where are they working that there's wind is blowing all around that you need a paperweight to keep the paper down?
Well, and you're exactly right. Like they're not functional anymore, right? It's just a thing. It's just a thing. So just a couple more things. So there's a really cool community nearby called Nina. I think I'm saying that right. And so really, again, another really cool walkable little downtown. If you like to ride bikes, they've got cool bike trails around the Fox City. And then I have to mention there's a really cool windmill. So apparently back in the day, over in the Netherlands, they built this Dutch windmill, stands over 100 feet high. And they built it, and then they took it apart and they shipped it to Wisconsin. And so this actual windmill is in this little town. It's literally called Little Chute, Chute. That's the name of the town, Little Chute. And so it's the Little Chute windmill, and you're coming along this tiny town, and all of a sudden this gigantic windmill appears, and it's a working windmill, so you can go in and you can tour it, and kind of a throwback to Holland in the Netherlands.
Back in the olden days. Somebody on the text line has a question, Bill Cleveland.
Okay.
Is Bill married? Are you married? You have a suitor somewhere out there.
Hang on, let me check. No, I'm not married. I sound happy, don't I?
Were you ever married?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Not for lack of trying.
No. God love you. Here's another one. Another texter called in and said, "Were you talking about the Corning Museum of Glass in New York?"
Yes. Thank you so much to the person that said that, the Corning Museum of Glass. Yep, I went there last fall. Yeah, cool museum. Really cool museum. But yes, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Somebody else on the text line from Florida says, speaking of turning the knob, how about hanging up the phone? My 15-year-old son has no idea when I say hang up the phone. It's another one of those, right?
Yeah. I thought
hang up
the
phone.
He was saying me hang up the phone.
Oh, no.
The phrase.
Yeah, the phrase hang up the phone, right? 15-year-olds have no idea. What do you mean when you say hang up the phone? My niece was asking me one day, she goes, seriously, I have a question. I was like, what? She goes, what's a busy signal? What does that mean? What does that mean?
Oh, my gosh.
No concept.
That's right.
No concept.
I was listening to some 90s country music the other day, because that's kind of that's my world. That's, when I was in high school, it was 90s country music. And the song by Travis Tritt, the name of this song is called "Here's a Quarter, Call Someone Who Cares." Well, how do you explain that to somebody that's under 30 or under 25, whatever? Like, what do you mean a quarter? What do you need a quarter for? Yeah, isn't that wild?
I think you did explain why you're not married. Listening to '90s country, that's probably a reason why you're not married.
Come on.
But right, a busy. I was telling a story about and I tried to call, and I was getting a busy signal, and she's like, "Whoa, hold on, what's a busy signal?" And so, well, that was where you were. If you were on the phone with somebody else, and I called you, I got a busy. Well, what's a busy signal? Oh, and then I was telling her about a dial tone, and she was like, "Well, what's a dial tone?" And so it was
oh
just
my gosh, party line. There's a bunch of them.
Did you? There's a video out there on somewhere where some father said, "I'll give you $100 if you can figure out how to make a phone call." And he gave his son a rotary phone, and they had no idea how to use the rotary phone. Yeah. Good
we
stuff.
had a rotary phone. I'm old enough to have had a rotary phone in the house. And so, yeah, that one. And then the other is like the answering machine. Your answer.
Yeah.
What do you mean you had like a tape? And what does that mean? A tape? And what? You had to. My dad still to this day, he is so upset that technology went away, because he would be so excited when he would come in the house and see that little red blinking light that somebody had left him a message. He talks about this once a week. I'm not kidding you. He won't check the voicemail on his cell phone, but he loves being upset that that answering machine isn't blinking in the living room anymore.
The answering machine is the size of a laptop. I mean, that's how big it was. It was just this gigantic machine. Crazy. All right, we got to go. BillOnTheRoad.com. Okay, BillOnTheRoad.com in Appleton, Wisconsin. Good stuff, Bill. Have a good week. Thanks for checking in.